Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Shira Raymond was Suddenly Single. Thank you all for joining me. I'm so excited. We're on episode 3. So today I want to talk more about emotional intelligence. And I have my chart here from Dr. David Hawkins, who calibrated emotions through muscle testing. And he did this on 250,000 people and then had third-party testers test them as well. So I hope you can see this list. Oops, let's get it here. So at the bottom, we have shame at 20. And then at the top, we have enlightenment, which is 700 to 1,000. And courage, which is right here where my finger is 200. And courage is already the point where we start to move into those more positive emotions. One of the things that I love talking about, I think it's really, really important, is that we cannot have a negative outlook on life and be in gratitude at the same time. And I work with a lot of people and I talk to them. And some of the stories, there was this one client who came to me and she said, I'm really, really sad or upset that I had this affair 12 years ago that broke up my marriage. And since then, my husband's remarried and this and that. And I feel really, really bad. And I'd love to get remarried, but I live in gratitude. And I told her straight up, I said, you can't be in gratitude and regret at the same time. Because when we look at this list at the bottom, regret is down there with guilt, which is 30. It's the second emotion from the bottom. And so it's really, really important that we move ourselves out of denial and are really, really clear about what our emotions are telling us and where we are holding. And I was given a class also in a city up north, and this woman was like, oh, I live in gratitude. I'm so happy. I have a house and blah, blah, blah. But my neighbors drive me crazy. They make noise all the time. And she just kept harping on this over and over and over and kind of like hijacked the whole class that I was giving. And so after that, I was like, I need to have some kind of a metaphor that I can give over so people understand that gratitude and complaining cannot coexist at the same time. And so I asked God, I'm like, God, please, please help me. Show me a way that I can influence people in a way that they can understand what I'm talking about in a visual, because I think visuals are really, really important. And I hope this is going to work. I have to let go some of the wax from my candle here. So let me pull out my matches. And this is what God gave me as a visual to help explain and for people to understand exactly what I'm talking about. So if you imagine, you can see this candle here. There's a little flame in there. I know it's down kind of low, so it's hard to see, but you can see it glowing. So imagine that flame is your gratitude. And these matches are all your negativity. But when you put these in here, watch what happens. Let me get them in the right place. Okay, here we go. So, well, it didn't work this time, but oftentimes it works. That, let's try that again. Okay, so let's imagine that this flame is your gratitude and these matches are your negativity. And you'll see what I'm talking about. This is such a great visual. So if we put the matches in here, right, sucked all the energy out of the candle and both the candles and the matches burnt out. And so I think this is such an amazing metaphor because it's something that you can see and it's tangible. And you can begin to understand that what are the negative things that I'm saying over and over again that are really blocking all the blessings that I want to create in my life. Because if we're in such a negative headspace all the time, there is no room in it for God to give you anything good. Because if He did, you wouldn't appreciate it anyway. You're not in the right space to receive those blessings and those gifts. So again, I refer to Him as God. If you want universe, source, energy, it doesn't matter. But we know with law of attraction, like attracts alike, because everything is based on energy and vibration. So where you're putting your focus is huge. And so we have to begin to really examine our talk in general. What is it that we're putting out there in the world that we may not even be aware of what we're saying or how we're saying things or the tone in which we're saying things? And are we spending more time on negative things than positive things? One of the things that I used to do when I was young, and I'm not necessarily proud of it, but it's something that I think a lot of people did, was people watch. But, you know, when it comes to people watching, we're not just watching what they're doing, we're judging what they're doing, right? So, oh, look at that person. Look, that outfit doesn't match. Oh, her hair. What did she do? She woke up with bedhead, whatever it is, right? But as long as we focus the negativity on other people, we didn't have to deal with our own inner pain and our weakness. And so it's really, really important that we elevate our own emotions and where we're holding, so that way we can begin to attract the kinds of things that we want in our life, whether it be a better relationship or more money or anything you want. Because if like attracts alike, then you have to be aligned with those things that you want to create in your life in order for them to come to you. And you have to appreciate the things that you have already. If you don't appreciate what you already have, if God gives you something more, you're not going to appreciate that either. So what is the point? So it's really, really important that you begin to elevate your own emotions and get it in a place where you are vibrationally at a very, very high level in this chart, where you can move up to like acceptance or love or reasoning, which are much higher emotions. And then vibrationally, the things that are on those levels, you can begin to attract into your life. I'll tell you a great story that happened to me a few years back. I used to listen to Esther Hicks all the time when I was driving or whatever. I would put her on YouTube in the car and listen to her. And so one day she was saying that she was feeling really frisky. This was her words, like really high energy, high vibration. And she said, you know what, God or source energy, however she refers to him, she said, you know, I'm feeling really good. Show me an example of somebody else who's feeling frisky today. And so she said that when she drove up a little bit further in her car, she saw that the traffic to get onto the freeway was way backed up, and she wasn't about to sit in that line and try to get on the freeway. So she decided to make an illegal U-turn. And as she did that, the guy in the lane to the right of her did the exact same thing. And where he was beside her, now all of a sudden he was in front of her or something like that. And when they got up to the next red light, he jumps out of the car and he's like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. And she was like, okay, thank you, God. You gave me an example of somebody else who's feeling frisky today and in the same mood. So I was listening to that on the way to a doctor's appointment. And I happened to be feeling really, really great and vibrating at a high level that day. And so I said, let me test this out and see how it works. So I said, okay, God, I'm feeling really frisky today. Find me somebody else who's feeling the same way. So I went up to my doctor's appointment and I'm getting ready to leave. There was a couple walking out to the elevator. And she was saying, oh, we're going to be late for our appointment. We went to the wrong office. And I was like, oh, do you need to use my cell phone to call them and let them know you're going to be late? And she said, no, they took care of it inside, but, whatever. And, so we're just chit-chatting all the way down the elevator, a really nice, lighthearted banter. And we walk out of the door to the office building, the main entrance, and we're walking into the parking lot. And her husband goes to the left where her car is. And her and I are just chit-chatting along. And she's walking along with me to my car. And all of a sudden I said to her, I said, oh, your husband's over there. Is your car over there? Do you need to go over there? She goes, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. She said, can I give you a hug? And I said, sure. So this perfect stranger gives me a hug. And I was like, okay, thank you, God. You found somebody else who was feeling frisky today. And I went on my way. So these are areas that we can test God, test ourselves. But what's really amazing, when we start to move into those higher emotions, I can feel myself reverberating. And you're just light and people want to be around you. You're easy to be around. And your life flows so much easier. And what I found is that when things come at you, which they always do, God always throws us tests to help us to grow to be the best version of ourselves. And when those tests come, I find that I can usually say, oh my gosh, okay, thank you. I don't know why I have to go through this test. It's really, really difficult, but I know it's for my highest good. And I really, really appreciate it. I find that I can move through them much faster. I know that ultimately they're for my highest good and that they are a blessing. Because hindsight is 20/20. And if you look back on your life, oftentimes you'll see like situations that were so challenging for you. Now, all of a sudden, you see how you grew or what the blessing was that came out of that terrible event. So when we begin to switch our perspective on everything and really catch ourselves in those negative self-talk or constant talk, right? All we're doing is burning out our flame like we did in this candle. And that's not what we want to do. We want our flame to burn bright all the time. And again, at the beginning, maybe it is one time a week that you catch yourself. It's like working out at the gym. It's all a process. You have to learn how to stretch those muscles. But the more that you become aware of it and you ask God or source energy to help you to move into these higher emotional, vibrational states, the easier it becomes. And then that becomes your norm. And so when something negative happens to you, if somebody cuts you off on the road, you can say, oh, what an idiot. And you can drop it right away instead of allowing yourself to get all worked up by those emotions which don't serve you. And this takes work, let me tell you. It didn't happen for me overnight. I had a lot of awareness on this, and it took me about 3 years to really, really get it down. But one of the most important things that I tell everybody all the time is to make a list of things you're grateful for. And when you see amazing things happen to you, write those down also and put them in that book. The miracles or the amazing, I don't think there's no such thing as coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. So anytime something happens that is for your good and just happens to you, write it down also. Because those are all miracles and signs that happen in our life. And for so many of us, we just gloss over them and don't really thank God or source energy for those events that happen in our life. And the more we become aware of those positive things in our life, whether it be the people or that we have a roof over our head or a car to drive, we have health, we can walk, we can eat, we can hug people, whatever it is, we need to start focusing on what we have instead of what we don't have. And be grateful for the things that you have. Another really important tool that I tell everyone is, before your feet even hit the ground out of bed, say 5 things that you're grateful for. So that could be, thank you for the comfortable bed, the hours of sleep that I had, that I have blankets and pillows and I'm warm and I'm cozy and I have a roof over my head and I have heating or air conditioning, whatever you can think of. And even that you have legs that you can stand to get up to walk to the bathroom, whatever it is. These are all blessings in your life. And the things that are right in front of us, we often dismiss and forget to even acknowledge. And so I'm really asking you at this point to start to acknowledge all the good in your life. And the more you put that into practice, then what we focus on grows. So instead of seeing the negative things in our life, we're going to see more things to be grateful for. And it's really, really powerful. And the more that you practice it, the easier it becomes. I'd love for all of you to connect with me on my Facebook group. So here's the link right here, facebook.com/groups/suddenly single now. So that way you can come on the calls live and ask your questions, your personal growth questions of me, or ask questions of the experts that I am going to be interviewing on the show. I mean, life is too short to be stuck in those negative headspaces. But also, as women are moving into becoming single, there's a lot of knowledge that we need to learn on how to protect ourselves, whether it be financially during the divorce, whether it be financial planning after, or if we have to buy more real estate, or how do we divide up the properties that we have. And so I'm really looking forward to having a lot of different experts on my show that can help you in your journey to make it easier for you. So again, don't forget to join my Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/suddenly single now. And let's make this show epic. Thank you.